G'day everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of the Risky Rollers podcast. I'm Dalton, and today I'm joined by Lockie.
What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up?
Nice. And also by our resident Black Templar player.
Hey.
Depending on when you're listening to this, you may have already heard us gushing about his inspirational painting and stuff on the Discord. It's Icon.
How you doing, guys?
So great to have you on.
Thanks for having me. I'm super pumped to be here and be talking about this upcoming Black Templar stuff.
Yeah, we couldn't talk about it without having you on for it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we're talking about the upcoming Black Templar releases, which, as this goes out, should be all being released this weekend.
Yeah, being released at time of release. Release,
Yeah.
dual release, double release.
So if you're listening a week later, last week.
Oh yeah, of course, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we get right into those, as always, you can go to Dice Arcade and use the code RiskyRollers to get an additional discount. And make sure to jump into the Discord to chat with us and chat with Icon and check out all his painting he's been up to.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
always around.
Yeah, you are. You're pretty much painting and uploading every day. It's pretty awesome.
It's fantastic, it really is. And if you want to be even more amazing than you are just by watching our content, you can support us on Patreon. We've got a few things in the works there, including a nice exclusive extra early release battle report for when we eventually get back to filming and releasing them. Just to say thank you for all the patrons. So you can always jump on there to get some extra stuff and just help us out.
It's very exciting.
Yep. The one final thing I'll mention is the Instagram. So we've of course got the Risky Rollers Instagram, and Lockie and I both have them. And we'll make sure to have Icons linked down in the description as well. He's recently started up an account and posting up pictures pretty regularly there as well. So make sure to check that out and give him a follow.
I saw your new Knights one today. They looked amazing.
My
Yes,
new
yes.
Knights.
Well, the new Knights for the channel. They looked awesome. The Chaos Knights.
Oh, yeah, they're not on Instagram yet.
Oh, they will
No,
be soon though.
That's on the Discord. But yeah, that's another way. Like if
It's all internet places.
Yeah.
It's just
If you guys jump in the Discord, you can see what happens before the Instagram, and then you can experience it twice. You get Discord
Yes,
love, and
it's-
then you get Instagram love. It's just like
It's double the excitement. It's just endorphins all around.
that's it.
Mm.
No, they are. They're amazing. Yeah, well, we can actually play a full 2,000 point game of Chaos Knights now, which is that's gonna be probably one of the first ones coming back too, which is gnarly because Forge World, awesome. So fun, death for everyone on Chaos.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. Which leads nicely into what have you been working on? What have you been posting up on Instagram and working on recently, Icon?
Alright, so I've taken a slight deviation out of the 40k universe to dip my toes into Battletech, and I painted up what is known as a lance, which is like your whole force, which can be as small as four mechs, which is one lance, up to I think the cap is 12, or 3 lances. Like I said, I just dipped my toes in, and I'm slowly learning a lot about that. And then today we've got Outriders on the table, Black Templar Outriders, and I think I will be putting pictures of them up as a work in progress later on this evening.
Very nice.
So for anyone who may not know, which I'm assuming is probably a lot of people, quick rundown, what's Battletech?
Oh, okay. So it's a tabletop game, obviously tabletop war game that is set in a universe 3025, I believe the timeline starts, and it sort of shares some similarities with 40k. Like, there was this massive leap in technology, to the point where wars are fought with big mechs. Like these things would be the equivalent of knights. They're massive, but
it's just a logical progression of warfare, really.
Yeah. And then narratively, there was a big sort of loss of technology, and the factions split up and spread out across the universe, and then there was a recovery of technology, and now we're just fighting over territory. There's certain factions, there's mercenaries, there's
but it's
a
pretty
faction
much just,
called the clans.
It's pretty much just Mech Warrior, right, from like 1995.
Well, it's exactly that. That's all the same IP.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mech Warrior, the Battletech PC game, the tabletop game, it's all the same IP. So if you grew up playing Mech Warrior, all those sweet mechs you can play on a tabletop game.
So
Yeah.
cool.
I think
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Super awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen some of the stuff you've been painting up there. You're trying out some contrast and some different techniques with them as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love the look of that more grim, dark style that sort of steps away from GW's,
Standard
base.
template paint style.
Yes, yeah, and it feels easier. It feels more natural, and it's definitely faster to build up those light sources with washes as opposing to try and edge highlight it, and it just feels nicer. And
It's more forgiving as well. So much more.
yeah,
forgiving.
definitely. I'm really enjoying new techniques as well. Like I've been busting out the airbrush, and even just for base coats and stuff, it's a real game changer. It makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, I can't wait to get mine up and running.
Yeah.
Things
Yeah,
like
same here.
those questionable colors like yellow and white
You're
doesn't
like,
matter anymore. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Just put doesn't matter.
Yeah, just put doesn't matter.
That's right. That's right. And it's very exciting to no longer have to even consider that being a thing, where someone who's only sort of returned to the hobby in the past 12, 18 months and really trying to develop a skill set. It's nice to just be able to go, no, we can just do this with an airbrush. It's fine.
Yeah. Mm.
I mean, I don't even think airbrushes were around when. I mean, they obviously were. Like, the technology existed. It's not that complicated. But I mean, in terms of
Accessibility.
yeah, like
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing an old white dwarf when I was a kid, and then you get your airbrush.
Yeah. I mean, GW used to make an airbrush.
What? Not when
That they
we were
used to,
playing.
No.
Yeah.
There was
Not 25 years ago.
not 25 years ago. Like maybe like between 5 and 10 years ago. They used to make one, and from memory, it looked. I think like they made one, and it looked kind of like a bolt pistol or something. Like it was something
that's super
like
cool.
weird like that.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to get pistol grip for mine, and then everything
Yeah.
that I saw, it was like, don't get pistol grip until you've like at least used one before.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
It looked like a flamer.
Oh, that's so cool.
They
I
as in, like,
thoroughly
it had-
enjoy that. That's great.
It had the
You just want to paint
had, like,
red,
the
orange,
flamer
and yellow
look.
all the time, though.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like, you'd be like, why
Yeah.
am I painting black? It's not burning.
But interestingly, it was a bottle fed or a pot fed airbrush, not a cup on
not
the
a
top.
gravity fed. Yeah.
Which is
Stupid.
weirdly not really what you want for a miniature airbrush.
No, you want that stuff for painting cars and using 2-pack paints.
Yeah, but yeah, so definitely something worth looking into. How about you, Lockie? What have you been working on recently?
What did I work on? I can't remember last week if I said that I finished my sisters or not, because I don't know when we recorded that and what happened. But I finished my sisters. I finished the first squad of sisters.
Nice.
Which has
the Celestian Sacrosancts.
Celestian Sacrosancts, which was
They look so nice.
which was thanks to
They
me,
do.
was super awesome and fun to paint. I think the Superior was just trying to get the, because I used the head with the hood, and literally all that you see on her face is her nose, her lip, and like her left cheek, and you can kind of see her eye. So I was like, right, here we go. Let's try and, as best as we can, do a face that is so small. And I was a rookie, and I did it right at the end. And like I had everything else painted, and I'm like, no. Because it's kind of like how the structure is for them. It's kind of blocking all your colours, do all your washes, do all your weathering. It's just like how you have to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it turned out really good. So
Yeah, it did.
that's super awesome. I think that's on my Instagram, but it's not up on
Yeah.
the channel's one yet.
Yeah. And the bases for them are phenomenal as well. You've done a custom marble effect on them.
Yeah, no, they're awesome.
Yeah.
When I saw them in person, I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think by the time this goes out, I'm going to convince you to do up like a thing for the channel Instagram on how you've done the bases.
Yeah,
They
it's one.
look so good.
It does look great. And look,
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the credit. I've definitely stolen it from a tutorial that a guy does. But I'm already regretting having to do it for sisters. Like, I should have picked like Custodies or something. Like, not
Something with
sisters.
10 models.
Not when I have like 75 models to paint. And
Yeah, but when you've done this on 75
it'll look
models,
amazing.
and
realistically, the way I look at it, right, is potentially because the whole for those of you who listen to this and haven't seen them, it's Grimdark Sisters, so they're all super weathered and it's worn armor, and even the stone floor is like all gritty and like looks like real dirty and washed out, and you know, as like if there was a destroyed cathedral and mud and war zone and whatever. So I was thinking, okay, well, if I do this over 75 models, Armies on Parade is going to be a ruined cathedral, and then all the bases are going to fit within the same tile style of the actual board, which will look pretty hectic, I reckon.
Yeah.
So you're going to get them done for Armies on Parade, are you?
Yeah, probably.
That's awesome.
That's real cool.
Yeah, I mean, not this year. No way.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That was like last month or something.
Yeah,
No, I think it's coming up soon.
it's
I
coming
heard
up,
someone
yeah, it's
talking
coming
about
up.
it in a different Discord.
Yeah, it's
okay,
they only
yeah.
just advertised it, I think, a couple of weeks ago for I think it's supposed to be like November or December or something.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep in touch with it when there's nothing happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So look, we'll see. I mean, like, there's that, and then there's Tyranids. Obviously, is quite easy to do in Armies of Parade when you just get like Tyranid terrain printed and have all that coming out of it and stuff. But I don't know. I think a massive, you know, seeing a big, 500 by 500 mil board which is essentially just a giant ruined cathedral, which
it'd be
we
pretty
technically
epic.
already have the terrain for. Not that I'd use that, but I mean,
Could be a good starting point for it.
exactly what I mean. We just get another one, and then and have that, and then the tile. Anyway, be good. What about you, Dalton? What have you been doing?
I've been on another one of my hobby binges, smashing out garden squats.
Oh, what? I haven't even seen any of that.
Yeah, well, I haven't taken a bunch of pictures yet, but I sat down the other night with like 15 models and just smashed them out, trying some of those techniques and different tips and tricks that Tim talked about the other day, or by the other day I mean several weeks ago.
Yeah.
Even looking at them and going, well, you know, do I need to be doing edge highlighting? No. And just playing with washes and stuff to make sure that they look good enough, and to the point where when I finished them, I went and looked at the models I'd painted previously with edges and went, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's just a prime example of don't do work if you don't have to.
Well, I think that podcast where you guys had Tim on was, it was a big eye opener for me, you know, because I've never sat down and had a conversation with someone who's a commission artist and sort of said, how do you get this done? I've never even thought about it, and then, you know, for him to explain it in such a way that, you know, faster can actually be as good or better, just refine the way you're doing things. I think that's what my takeaway was what I tried to do with my Battletech guys from listening to that podcast. I was like, and now you've gone and sort of had the same attempt at doing your squats and guard, and at the end you look at it and you go, that's better, and it only took me half the time, and that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's even similar as to why I'm gravitating very much towards that grimdark style of painting. One, because again, like we were saying before, it's more forgiving.
Yes.
And if you want to double down on it and go super epic, you can with pigments and like all sorts of crazy stuff. You know, there is definitely a crazy level of skill and art to it. I'm not dumbing it down whatsoever, but the difference is you can do a mediocre job with kind of washes and all this sort of stuff, and it looks significantly better as opposed to you doing a mediocre job of edge highlighting and like recess lines.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So, you kind of just, and there's, we've spoken about, I don't want to go too much more on it, but like we've spoken about it before, just how good it feels to complete something.
Yeah.
And when you start ticking through it and you start seeing them complete that, and you want to chase that endorphin feeling as much as you can. And it's, look, man, Icon is really good to hear that that podcast helped, and that's has an effect. Has had an effect. That's great.
Well, yeah, I listened to it and I was like, I straight away picked apart my painting strategy, and I was like, how can I improve this and get better results? And I had a go with the Battletech guys, and it turned out in a way that I was really happy with, and it's sort of something that I will be applying to pretty much every army I do moving forward.
That's good. Speaking of...
Yeah, go on.
Script much? Yeah. Battletech.
Yes.
So you've played.
Yes.
Recently, legally, too.
Yeah. So
what was that like?
Look, coming out of 40k, it feels quite straightforward because there aren't certain things like faction specific rules. So everything that you can do, I can do, Dalton can do, and that makes it pick up and play for someone who's used to 40k quite easy. It's definitely slower paced, I think, because there's less models on the board. In saying that, though, I've only had this one sort of trial game, and it does seem that you can scale up quite significantly, and you could play the game at equal size to 40k quite easily. But it definitely feels
does it feel like
equally in depth,
like hero hammery?
No, it doesn't.
Does it feel like each mech is a hero sort of thing?
No, they feel. No, it feels skirmishy more than they don't feel like heroes. They feel elite, sure, but they don't feel like
unique.
This one does. They don't feel unique because they don't have faction specific powers or hero specific powers. They're each their own entity, and they each feel like they're really strong at long range fire or close combat, and that gives them that sort of elite feeling. But they don't have within a 6-inch aura they're doing this or whatever. So I definitely wouldn't say it feels heroish. To quote one of I believe it was Dalton on a previous podcast where you were talking about the 9th edition of fantasy and how you feel like
age.
Ninth age, and you feel very much like the commander. That's very much how it feels, because it feels very strategic because of the resources in the game. You've got to manage heat, which is generated by your actions. So shooting, moving. If your model has jump packs, jumping. You've got to manage this resource quite closely, because if you just run into combat and barrage all of your 20 weapons on your big bad assault mech and generate 30 heat, but you're only dissipating 12, then you start taking negatives.
Well, yeah, it becomes redundant by that point.
Yeah, it just becomes redundant. So you can't just run in with your big bad and just blow everyone up, because the chances are you're not gonna kill something. It's not like a Space Marine that's got 2 wounds. You've got a whole damage chart dedicated to one mech, and then you've got to burn through the outer armor, and then you've got to burn through the inner armor, and there's certain things that happen when you get to that inner armor. You can start rolling criticals, and you can start having ammo explosions. And
that's so cool. I remember you telling me about that, where you can blow up the missile battery storage in the back of someone's missile pod, and that can cause catastrophic damage to a mech. I'm like, that is so cool.
If you hit ammo, there's a very good chance it's not getting up if you hit ammo. The damage, because
I'm really enjoying the sound of, because it sounds very granular.
Yes.
Which kind of you go, oh, that's a lot of bookkeeping, but not when a lance is four mechs.
Mechs. Yeah, it's only 4 mechs. From my experience, the bookkeeping was it was quite straightforward. Like, you had an ammo chart, and when you expend your ammo, you just take away. You know, you have 24 missiles in the pack, and you just take away one when you fire one, and then you've got the big printout of the armor of the mech, and as you take damage, you just color in the little circles with a pencil to notify how much damage you've taken for that, you know, left arm or left center torso or whatever. And
that's cool. It's really even like a whole new medium to tabletop, right? It's kind of like that. Not as extreme as going back to pen and paper RPG, but you know, that little element of doing something else as well as rolling dice. You know, and look, maybe some people don't like that. Maybe that's a bit annoying, but I could see. I mean, look, I could see all tabletop heading towards an AR level of, which would just be amazing. You know, you just put on your glasses and you just see it all.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet.
But it's really cool to hear that. It sounds as well that your decisions matter in this.
They definitely matter, even though there's no faction specifics, or there's a lot of the extra stuff that's in 40k is stripped out. Your decisions still feel huge.
Yeah,
because
it sounds like they feel bigger, like, than 40k, to be honest.
Yeah, I would almost say that, because
especially with the resource management thing. Like, you don't have any mechanic like that in 40k, and CP is not even remotely close to that level of a, yes, it's a resource, but you don't really have to have it. Like, you can still play without it.
Yeah. Particularly if you like Drakari or something.
Yeah, but it seems like this game, it's actually built in as one of their core mechanics, which it was in the game, right? I remember it, or something along those lines from the first Mech Warrior. But yeah, it sounds good, man. It's good that you enjoy it. I mean, I'd love to have a game and put a game on the it'd be
for sure.
Cool.
Well, this is the funny thing with it. It's been around for a long time, and it's just notoriously unmanaged. I think,
as in unsupported.
Like officially unsupported. Like, there's a lot of. I jumped on a page yesterday, I believe it was, and I sort of put it out there. I was like, as someone who has only just dipped their toes in, I was sort of curious. I'm like, is there a competitive scene or a tournament scene in this game? Something that's sort of driving it further.
Right.
And
like the equivalent would be the ITC or the WTC for 40K.
Yeah, and I got a very mixed bag of responses. Some people were like, yeah, what are you talking about? Of course there's tournaments. They're not big, but they do happen. Some people were like, tournaments bad. They used to happen and it was bad. And some people were just like, well, we just like to play narrative and we don't think it should change. But the biggest thing that I got was that there's just no one officially leading it in any which way direction. Even like the people that are making the models now and have written the rules, they seem to be a bit like, well, you just do your own thing. We've built the setting. Here's the models.
Here's the rules. Go nuts.
Yeah, and I think it would be. I mean, that's a nice, relaxed sort of approach in the sense that, okay, they're more than happy for you to 3D print everything you know, and they just don't mind at all. Like, that's fine. You know, they've given you the reins and said, it is what you make of it. But on that aspect, I would love to see someone go, well, I'm taking the reins and I'm making something competitive or something forward driven that everyone can get on board with. I think that would be really cool to see in the future.
A direction.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll just have to be those ones that do that, eh?
Thinking about it.
Yeah.
Alright, well, coming back to the big one. Extremely dangerous. Keep out of reach of children. Nope, nobody? Nope.
I mean,
no, not really.
Toy Story?
Toy Story?
When Sid gets the rocket?
Oh, right.
Oh, Flamers?
Well, yeah, Flamers.
Explosions.
Black Templars.
Ah, of course. Black
Talk to
Templar.
That's a completely natural segue into that.
It wasn't at all a segue. It just popped into my head, the big one, because it's the point when he opens the rocket, and then Woody's under the thing, and it's like, the big one, and then he turns his head and he reads the signs, extremely dangerous, keep out of reach of children. It's like, what am I gonna play, man?
Wow.
Whatever.
I haven't watched that. Yeah. I gotta watch more Disney. Sorry, mate.
It's like my favorite movie. Anyway.
That makes way too much sense.
I'm really.
Anyway, we're with you now, and that's what matters.
Yeah. We got there in the end.
So, Black Templars, hit us.
Oh, so much excitement.
Why do you collect with... No, just like... First off, why do you collect Black Templars? Was it like, did you stumble into it? Did you... like...
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie, I hard stumbled into it. I got back into the hobby last year's lockdown, right? And I had a bunch of models from when I was a kid, and a large portion of them were Chaos. And I was like, I'm going to build up a Chaos kill team. It's going to be great. And then looking around, there sort of wasn't anyone local to me playing kill team, but there was plenty of people playing 40k. And I did a bit of research, and just the state of what Chaos was in right now, I was like, don't know about investing in this at the current time. But then as I was going through all my models, I found just a few bits and pieces of Space Marine models. So I had the original Sword Brethren, the old metal ones, some Terminators, and some Assault Terminators, and some Scouts. And that was it. And I was like, well, seeing as there's Sword Brethren here, and they are very specifically Black Templar, looks like we're doing Black Templar. And and that was what drove this. That was literally the only thing that drove this in this direction. And it's 40k. You just get invested, right? You start looking online. You start looking in the marketplace. You find some sweet deals.
That's the worst thing you do, bro. Just stay out of the buy and sell swaps. Oh man, like
it's very dangerous.
I nearly got roped in again today, and I was like, oh no.
I know both of you have recommended me the same Tomb Kings as well.
The Tomb Kings?
Yeah. And you have no idea how tempted I was to just drop a few $100s on that.
That's hilarious. Well, that's cool. And now you've nearly got a full. I mean, I think you know the army really well. I mean, we've worked on lists and stuff together. And,
you've got multiple different lists you can run with them now as well.
I can run all the lists. There's
as long
something
as
like
it has 10 Vanguard vets and a jump pack chaplain, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, that's the bread and butter right now, isn't it?
Pretty much.
They're very nasty.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the new release? What are all of our thoughts on the new releases? Models, I'm talking here.
Oh, okay.
Not rules
this is
yet.
a big.
We're not doing the rules bit.
This is a big up and down for me.
Okay. Hit us.
All the new standard models are great. Even the bowl cut bloke is great because like I just imagine he's new to the chapter and he rocks up to the barracks and they're like sit and then they just give him this haircut.
Right? Well, there's that meme where it's like, get the bowl, brother. Whatever.
That's exactly right. It's his first day. It's his first day in the chapter, and they're like, this is what's happening. And he just
I imagine not even yet. I imagine he literally wakes up from the sarcophagus. Like he gets out of the VT. No, they don't have the VT tombs, do they?
No, the VT tombs are Blood Angels.
No, isn't the VT wombs is Krieg? They're the Deathcore. Krieg.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Ones.
There is. Yeah,
Anyway.
The Blood Angels have like the Sanguis something or other,
which is their vampire coffins, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I imagine that whatever the stone tablets in Cole's ship they all wake up from, whatever the IV drips, it's like automatically there's a apothecary there with a bowl and scissors. Like as soon as they wake up, and then
it's not even an apothecary.
It's not even that. It's a Darth Vader style helmet descending. It's just a bowl. And then it's over his head, and razor comes out the side.
No, it's a Tech Marine arm with a little laser. It's like
yeah,
and it just comes around and cuts it.
Anyway, He's great for this exact reason.
Yeah.
He's great because he's just got good character,
We can
despite the
have some
fact.
lols on it. Yeah.
Despite the
Yeah.
fact he's goofy, he's got good character. Whereas, like, the Emperor's Champion and Grimaldus is show and tell. Like, look at my thing. Like,
Yeah, man.
I'm not a fan. That's not how you hold a weapon. Like,
Look, I mean, they were never going to change the Emperor's Champion model because, look, unfortunately for G-Dub in this situation, only regarding the Emperor's Champion, they're doomed if they do, doomed if they don't, right?
Yeah.
They change it, you have 50% of people going, why'd you change it? The model's amazing. And
yeah.
if you... vice versa, right? The
If
thing
you don't change it, people are like, why is it not getting a new model?
Yeah.
So,
But then there's option C. Why did you change it so he's holding the sword wrong? And leave everything else the same.
That was my point. It's like, is he trying to banish a vampire from like the 1400s, like holding it across, like the power of Christ compels you? Like, who holds a sword like that?
And then Grimaldus comes along. He's like, "Oh yeah, I can do it too." Like,
Exactly.
Yeah. Look at the front of my Crozier.
Look at the front of my weapon, and my arm is dead straight. Like, who holds
Yeah.
their arm like that? It's just, yeah.
And then his Vox grill is like weirdly. I mean, maybe this is a paint job, but like
It's
weirdly cartoon teeth.
What's
Yeah.
Hellraiser?
Like-
It's Hellraiser.
num 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 num. That's what.
It's the one of Hellraiser's guys. You know, the
Yeah.
second one, which is like,
It
unfortunately,
doesn't stop it looking goofy.
it's nowhere near as cool because you look at the Hellraiser guys, you're like, that's awesome. That was from the 80s as well. No, not this one. This one's super lame.
On the flip
Oh.
side, though, let's get to the other models. Let's talk about the Castellan.
Yeah.
Castellan,
Oh,
bro,
oh,
So good.
amazing.
one of the best Space Marine models I've released in recent history.
As far as I'm concerned, it's the
Yeah,
best Primaris model released. Period, and that's purely because it doesn't look like a Primaris.
Yeah.
I'm nearly even close to saying best Primaris model, best Space Marine model. Period. Look, it's hard because the pose is pretty just as lame as Hellbrecht's, just as lame as standard Space
It's a bit.
Marine.
Look at all my things.
It's like,
it is.
hey, I'm doing a model shoot right now, you know. But
It's lifted straight from that classic John Blanche
But-
artwork. And here's the thing, that they've done all these models that are like, oh, this is inspired by this artwork. But it's always different. They've always moved them. They've always done that.
yeah,
This is they've lifted it straight off it, and it's just there.
perfect, and it's
Yeah,
perfect.
and
they
the
did it-
nostalgia behind that.
Oh,
like,
bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
this is one of the first bits of art that I ever saw when I walked into G-Dub in England
Yeah.
in 2000. And, like, you know, the first
Yeah.
the first models I ever painted were Black Templar models from the three-piece connected, you know, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Space Marines were the...
three-piece models, push it ones.
The push
Yeah.
fit ones, but where
Backpack
the
and head
bolter,
and
yeah,
bolter.
no, the head was all together. It was the bolter was just the bolter and the two hands, and it's like them standing still. You know, the
Oh, yeah,
second
yeah,
edition
yeah.
model, the third edition models,
Yeah, I've got
Um,
some of them.
and you know, I just have such fond memories of it. And of course, I think they've done an amazing job, not only with the model, but with choosing to do it.
Yeah.
The paint job,
Yeah.
with everything.
Yep.
It's just, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff on Facebook of people going, you know, that aren't even Space Marine, like the conversion potential of this is huge. It's so huge, you know, like Tech Marine. I'm like death watching it somehow. I don't know. How. I just want to take those shoulder pads and put them on a different character.
I just want to take those shoulder pads and put them on
every model. I know, right? Like,
Oh,
everybody
So-
gets these.
yeah.
yeah, and then it's just cool. The sort and look, the Heavy Metal team did a really good job on the paint job too.
They did,
you know,
yeah.
Look.
It's great. It's really good. It really.
I have nothing negative to say about this model
Yeah.
at all.
It's
I can't
times like these. It really kind of reinvigorates my, you know, yeah, they do a whole lot of bad things regarding model designs and just poor design choices across the board, and then they come out with this, and it's like, oh, I forgive you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
know what I
you,
mean? Like,
straight
you're just
away,
like,
you're just like, take
what-
my
what
dollars.
problems?
It's
Yeah.
fine.
And then at the same
But-
time, then they released the Sword Brethren models as well,
I like them.
I like them.
They're
I like the Sword Brethren ones.
That's what I'm saying. They're awesome.
Yeah.
As well. They're just. I think
okay, yeah.
they're really cool. I love Wolverine.
Yes.
Yep.
And we were talking about this earlier before we started pre-show, but Icon and I agreed that the Wolverine Lightning Claws are, if they're the future of Lightning Claws, like if you're gonna get a Primaris Lightning Claw kit and that's what they're gonna look like,
yeah, I'm behind it 100%. Yeah,
100%.
They're super cool.
Differentiates them from Power Fists. They look amazing.
Yeah,
100%.
And
then you've got like Shoulder Cape guy.
Yeah.
Easily my favorite model out of the ones that they've shown us, like posed and armed. Easily my favorite one.
That's with the chainsaw and the bolt pistol and the
chainsaw and the
heavy bolt pistol, right?
Heavy bolt pistol, and he's got the cape just over his shoulder, hanging down. Fantastic.
Yeah. The hand flame is a bit. How you going? Not sure.
Yeah.
The whole flame.
I mean, I think it's just classic.
Weird. No, as in like the change in the flamer design is weird.
Oh right, yeah. They've sort of made it more, built it further back into the casing rather than having a forward separate.
Yeah, it's just a sawn off, really.
Like
sawn off flame.
I'm looking at it now, and it's just a sawn off.
Basically,
it would be cool if it shot like fire pellets.
Yeah, pellets wreathed in holy fire. I like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
I beg to differ about the mace, though. It does look a little out of place, but I think this guy's he's had a run-in with some AdMech, and he's like, I'm taking this. Like, it looks...
I think in and of itself, it's fine. I think maybe that model, just the faces, are just...
I mean, it's the Vulcan again, right?
Yeah, he's had the same treatment as old mate.
Yeah,
it's just like... I can't ever see why people want to paint... Why people want to have the faces on Space Marines. Jesus Christ. 9 out of 10 are trash. Except for
the captain is
the
pretty
captain
good.
dude's sick.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I'm looking at that now, and I'm like, you know what? He's an exception to the rule.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like every now and then you get one that's cool, but all of them when they're screaming or they're just lame. You know, helmets away.
There's a couple of heads in the upgrade sprue that are quite nice.
Yeah.
There's almost like a Judge Dredd style helmet.
Yeah,
with the visor. Yeah,
the Crusader helm. So that we have to jump onto that because that's the relics from the current supplement: the Aurelian Shroud, the Skull of Kakadumnes, the Crusader's helm, and the Sword of Judgment.
I love that these bits exist as things.
Yes,
I am 110% behind these being done for every army that comes out.
But are we assuming that they're not going to be relics though?
Well, no, it's the opposite. We know that we're going to get these as relics because now they have miniature representations. And
then you're right. Yeah, that is. I didn't even know that. I thought that was just something that they named shit.
No, these are the relics for the chapter.
That's cool.
I've converted like miniatures that I've given relics to. I've converted them to have things that look like the relics I'm planning to give them for years. I've built entire characters around giving them a specific relic so that I can use this specific bit that I think looks cool as that relic. So the fact they're coming out and going, here are some bits that can represent these relics, amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm down for that.
And some of the narrative behind this is so cool, like particularly the Skull of Kakadumnes. That's a very cool story, and it closely ties into why the Black Templar don't have psychers.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so...
Well, the skull itself, I'm just looking at it and seeing the third eye. It's a psyker of some description.
Well, it would be a navigator, right?
Navigator.
So the story goes that the Kakadumnes had psychic control of an entire sector of space. Or an entire, like, massive subsector, yeah. And the Black Templar came and killed it. And when they killed it, its psychic scream killed all their psykers. And that's why the Black Templar don't have psykers.
Right.
Wow, so this was what, like...
That's pretty cool.
This was just after Sigismund had broken off? Or just during...
Look, time frame wise, I'm not sure. But that is the story. And that's why the Skull of Kakadumnes is in the reliquary.
That's really cool.
That's amazing.
Skull of the Kakadumnes. Yeah. That's awesome. And like just as far as bits go, I'm looking at the Aurelian Shroud.
I know.
It's epic, right?
It's so cool.
Like I want to paint just that. I want to buy this sprue, take that bit off, and paint just that.
Yeah. I reckon you could literally use this on like a Chaos Army and it would still work. You know, like you could change that thing to be a Khorne.
Yep.
Hood ornament. head thing, and then like it's
now all I can imagine is this painted as a hood ornament on like a rhino,
on like a muscle car painted red with a Khorne berserker driving it.
Oh, dude, they should totally do that. We should totally make like get G'd up to make custom hood ornaments for like big muscle cars. Can you imagine just like cruising in you like
Fast and the Furious Berserker
SS Camaro,
edition?
and SS Camaro, and it's got a big Khorne symbol on the front. That's hilarious. I hope this and this is all good and well, but please to Christ make the rules reflect how cool these things are, because it's like cool. You've got cool stories, cool. Even cooler, you've got miniatures that actually relate to this.
Yeah.
Don't make them shit rules.
Yeah. I mean, it comes back down to that RPG element of it. You know, I want my models to look cool, and I want what they've got to be cool things. I don't want to make my models look cool and then have the rules turn around and go, all right, if you want your models to play the way they look, they're going to play awfully.
Because look, what they've already teased, it's not a good sign.
It's very up and down.
I think some of it's a very good sign, and then some of it's a bit.
Well, I mean, sorry.
What?
If you take it overall is it going to be balanced? Is it going to make sense? You're going to have options. You know, just these two options of the vows that I'm speaking of.
Right. So they teased those very recently.
Today, literally today.
So it came out today.
Yeah.
Yeah, today. So, you know, the first one is amazing, but the negative's not a negative, and it's
you're getting into the almost busted territory.
Yeah, depending on what else the book has, maybe.
Yeah,
I doubt that.
It doesn't intrinsically read as busted.
No, it doesn't.
No, but you get into that territory where it could end up that way, depending on what the rest of the rules are.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, if you have the ability to give, you know, exploding sixes or double exploding sixes or auto wounds or, you know, these kinds of things across the board, or multiple times, then yeah, it won't be busted, but it'll be very, very strong. And you go, cool, okay. I love the idea that Games Workshop is exploring the whole positive and negative thing, like they did with Doctrinas, with AdMech. Again, they just didn't go hard enough with it, and they're doing the same thing here. Like the negative, the passion in this situation is literally irrelevant, because there is no drawback for you to not fall back, because you get all the bonuses.
Why would you fall back?
Staying in combat.
I mean, I can definitely see that there's some very niche, specific setup situations where you might want a unit to fall back in order to grab objectives or to do a game thing.
But then you're losing Oath, right? Like,
you're losing.
But then you're losing.
Why would you?
And why are you not taking Oath? Yeah.
Exactly. So,
well, I mean, look, and again, it's one of those things where you go, all right, if you set up the entire game this way, and you make it so that the only way for you to do this specific thing is for you to fall back out of this to get somewhere else, then, all right, it's a negative. But you have to be doing so much work to make it a negative.
I know.
You have to be basically an
ridiculous.
ultramarine. You have to be basically an ultramarine, because they're the only ones that fall back. Everyone else doesn't fall back.
Yes. And look, like I said, the bonus, the positives are great. There isn't really a negative, but cool. You fight, like, we don't know. I mean, it's stipulated that this is available for all units that have this Templar vow ability. We don't know who's got that.
So just to outline this, this is the accept any challenge no matter the odds vow.
Yep.
Yes.
And while a unit affected by this is in engagement range, they get the assault doctrine instead of whatever doctrine they're in.
And they get one attack.
They get +1 attack.
Yeah.
But it's not cumulative with shock assault, but it's just better.
So it negates shock assault, and it just gives them +1 attack whenever they're in combat. right?
It is interesting to note, though, that this does imply the army does have Shock Assault. It's not getting the Grey Knights or the Thousand Suns or the general Chaos treatment of
everybody gets
just
3
replacing
attacks.
it with an extra attack.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
I think it makes sense that it fits in with the rest of the Space Marines.
Yeah, well, it has
Exactly.
to a degree.
Marines.
Yeah, they are still
exactly.
the same as fundamentally as Blood Angels, Ultramarines. They definitely shouldn't get that extra treatment the same way that the others did, because it just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll throw out there that, and potentially this might shadow a negative for the whole VOW system. The way this is worded implies that models with the VOW do still benefit from Shock Assault under some circumstances. Now, potentially it's just redundant wording, and they've just made it like extra super clear.
That's what I think they've done.
But it's also possible, and I think that's very possible. But it is also interesting. It might mean that there's some sort of you must activate the VOW for a turn or something along those lines.
I think it's more along the lines of that, and this is purely speculation, of course, but I think it's more along the lines that not everybody's going to get the ability to take a VOW. You're going to have...
That's what I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we spoke about this earlier. It'll be elites, crusaders, anyone that's specifically Black Templar or veteran, I reckon. But your standard intercessors, even assault intercessors,
they won't get it.
They won't get it, and they will benefit from the shock assault. And this is...
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense.
And this is sort of going to have you leaning into, well, I'm going to take Crusader squads anyway. Why wouldn't I? The diversity is amazing.
Yeah. And this is literally what we were talking about pre-camera. Far out. Pre-show is... Alright, your whole shtick is combat.
Yeah.
You want to get in combat. You're being benefited for doing what your army should do. Great. Tick, tick, tick.
Yeah. That's what I want in army rules.
100%.
That's cool.
Now this Templar Vows ability, which this is literally an excerpt. So the start of it states the exact copy paste excerpt from the actual book, and it states that all units from your army with the Templar Vows ability. So implying that not necessarily everyone has the Templar Vows ability, right? Which is kind of what we're talking on.
Yep.
But if we're going to guess, and I'd probably put money on it, my guess is that Crusader squads and Sword Brethren will definitely get that. Crusader squads are going to be your troops choice, and you're going to get stratagems and stuff, and probably relics specifically related to Crusader squads. So why would you ever not take Crusader squads? So therefore your entire army is going to benefit from this with no negative.
Yeah.
It just seems like, obviously there's a design philosophy there, which is great. Again, awesome. But make the
this is a good design philosophy.
Yeah. So I'm not knocking any of that.
Happy with this. Yeah.
Only thing I'm knocking is make the negative a negative. There is no negative. This passion thing, and again, maybe there's an added element. Maybe this is only half of what the vow actually is. Who knows? But if we're taking this as face value as what it is, there's no negative here. On the contrary, the following one previewed,
that's the negative. That's the negative.
The entire thing is a negative.
Yeah.
So the other vow is abhor the witch, destroy the witch. The vow is once per battle in your first movement phase, if there are any enemy psychic units in your opponent's army, add 3 inch to your move. And then every time you make a melee attack against a psychic unit, reroll wound roll of 1. And then the passion, i.e. the negative, is while there's an enemy psychic within 18 inches of this unit, you cannot perform any actions.
Let's just talk about every reason why this is bad.
Well,
all right.
From the top.
First movement phase.
Yeah, well, that's the key word right there. First movement phase.
I think all of us had missed that the first time we read this. Yeah.
It was I think the third time I read it, because the first thing I saw was once per battle, and I'm like, ugh, already lame. But you kind of go, okay, cool, whatever, let's just keep going. And then missed the in your first movement phase. So you can't even use this movement bonus in a third turn clutch point to get, say, an outrider unit onto an objective to have a 23 inch move outrider unit.
I mean, I could even see this being a second turn thing. You go, all right, First turn, you're moving forward, you're running from cover, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then turn 2, you're piling out of your vehicles, you're jumping out of cover, you're moving this extra 3 inches to bring those charge ranges from, 9 inches charges down to 6 inch charges.
Perfect, right? Makes total
Beautiful.
sense. But no,
First turn.
no, you can't do that because it's first turn.
Yeah.
And I understand because Arkham was saying that this is directly from their old book, and they do state it. They stated this at the start.
Well, the names are directly from the old book. The rule sets are not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they state at the bottom, it's a throwback to a classic ability to rush forward, to rush towards the nearest psyker at the start of the game. This Templar.
Right.
It's like, fine, just because you've done it a certain way in the back doesn't mean you still need to do the same bad rule now.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to ask a question as someone who has no real experience of, 3rd edition when this was sort of a thing. I think that this concept sort of made more sense when target priority was a thing.
Yes, 100%.
When
You had to shoot the closest thing.
And all of a sudden...
You had to pass a leadership test or you couldn't target the closest thing.
I think this one sort of had a lot bigger an impact when priority and initiative was a thing.
Yes, definitely.
And again, look, I mean, it's really big. We probably shouldn't be talking about it too much because we're judging something without seeing the whole picture. But I just feel it's just...
Well, that's all we've got though, right? Like,
I know,
for the moment.
Yeah. So, and let's just go back a step. We're assuming, and again, being very presumptuous, but the Templar Vows ability is only on certain units. So if we're assuming that it's only on Black Templar dedicated units, means your Outriders don't have it. Means your Vanguard vets don't have it. So those fast... Although, actually, sorry, I take that back.
It does specifically say
the move characteristic for an Outrider squad. So maybe you can just give it. Maybe it's a points cost. Maybe you can give a Templar Vow to any unit.
Or maybe everybody's just getting core. Maybe everybody's just getting vows.
What do you mean everyone's already got core?
Yeah, Space Marines, everyone's core already.
Maybe everybody's getting vows as well.
So, we've lingered on this a little bit, but the reroll wound against Psyker is great against, obviously, GK, T-Sun.
I mean, like, it's nice.
It's fine, but I mean, there are other ways to get it, and it's a waste of a whole army buff. But then the bad is really, really bad.
It's so bad.
While an enemy Psyker unit is within 18 inches of this unit cannot perform any actions.
Like, you could take the first 2, you could make it any movement phase, you could make it, a melee attack if your opponent's army has a Psyker in it. This negative would still make me go, well, you would never do it. Like, it doesn't... Because essentially 18 inches is such a large range that you're never going to be able to form an action.
And realistically,
that limits you on your secondaries. You're never taking Rod, which, is a substantial...
You're never taking banners. Yeah. Assuming the Black Templars get some cool secondaries, you're never taking the action one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Nobody's doing actions.
Nobody's doing actions. And not only that, if you were to take one, the ability for your opponent to deny it is so easy.
We were discussing this earlier, and you mentioned Grey Knights as an example, because you'd think, all right, Grey Knights are the army that has the most Psykers. Almost every unit's a Psyker.
Every single
even
unit.
T-Suns haven't got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gate a single model into your opponent's deployment zone or table quarter.
Stopped.
Gone. Yeah. Your action's gone.
Stopped.
And that's it.
The thing is
everywhere.
The weird thing is that you can't. It's not like you go, oh well, I'd take this when I'm not facing us, because you choose this before the game starts, right? And that's what is cool is that you don't have to build it into your army list, right? You can just choose whichever one you want for the matchup. That I think is great. Big tick.
After you know what your opponent's playing.
Yeah.
And after you've read what the mission is.
Yes. Love that. I think that's really clever.
Yep.
That's really good. But then I was like, okay, maybe you take this against a non-Psyker army, but you can't because you don't get the bonuses unless they have.
Yeah,
Psykers.
then it's pointless.
So it's like,
it does nothing.
So in terms of like this positive and negative concept,
This is giving a positive bonus to your opponent for bringing a psychic army against you.
Yeah.
That's what this does.
This is putting on hard mode for psychic armies.
This is you
No,
walk
hard
up to your
mode for
opponent.
you.
Go,
It's easy
go.
mode for them.
You're playing.
Yeah,
you're playing
that's what I
psychics.
mean.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna handicap myself for this game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's when you don't want when you think the game's getting too easy. That's when you take this.
Yeah.
And look, maybe, and the weird thing is, and this is where I say about this makes me kind of screw my nose up a little bit, because I go, here you have one that's overwhelmingly good, that is unbalanced and overly positive on both the positive and the negative side, the vow and the passion. And then you have another one that's overall bad and negatively, you don't really get that much positive out of either. It's a double negative. You have a double positive and then you have a double negative, and it's just weird. I'm just like, and it's just a couple word changes. And look, again, there's probably something that massively we are missing here, obviously, because we don't have the book and we can't read it and we can't tell you guys what's going on, whatever. But
Which, as soon as we can, we'll be right back with a
100%.
a review and a discussion about it.
Yeah,
for sure.
all three of us will be back, and we'll get
Yeah,
everyone's
100%.
opinions. You know, even potentially like write a list maybe and see what we reckon a list could do and those kinds of things.
That'll be the first thing I'll be doing all day. I'll be list.
Yeah.
Trying to find all the tips and tricks and pull it apart and put it back together.
Yeah. So it's a bit. I don't know. I don't know what to expect when I see this. I get excited because I would like to see Templar have something that's unique, not broken.
Yeah.
But unique.
They've already got some pretty unique stuff with the diversity of squads. I think that's going to be an amazing game changer. It's going to change the way that Space Marines in general play, because right now you're limited to that. You've either got intercessors that shoot or intercessors that chainsword stuff, and this is going to be the first instance in a long time where you've got that diversity and every squad is going to be able to do things of equal level.
Well, barring Deathwatch, it's the only, I guess, unique Primaris unit you'll be able to run, right?
Yeah.
Because, Space Wolves have some uniqueness, but they're not Primaris. It's all on their Firstborn stuff.
Yeah.
And then everything else is just generic,
This is the
plug and play. So
this is the first instance that we're seeing Primaris diversify, and I think that can't be underrated in how much of that's going to change things.
I mean, that in and of itself makes this is the Space... I don't play Black Templars, but this is the Space Marine release I'm most excited for this edition at all.
Yeah.
Is because we're seeing all these changes and updates to the Primaris range that... I mean, the models look fantastic, with the few exceptions that we've already talked about. And they're clearly... The sculptors are clearly having fun and enjoying it and exploring what they can do with the Primaris aesthetic, and I can't wait to see what they do next with it when they come around to other armies as well.
I think one of the biggest takeaways in this situation as well is I do think Games Workshop's actually listening to its audience. I think
they've got to eventually, right?
Well, hey, there are products out there that definitely don't. So, and they still make money. So, I did not Games Workshop, I just mean in general,
Yeah.
One of the biggest criticisms of Primaris across the board since their inception, that I've seen, is that they're bland. There's no character. There's no personality. There's no difference. So to finally see them going, after people expecting that with the Blood Angel stuff, people expecting Primaris Sandguard, people expecting maybe some Primaris Space Wolves in some kind of... Well, they got the Hounds of Morkai or whatever, but...
That are just Reavers.
Yeah.
Just a Reaver squad.
Literally does nothing. Even with the Death Watcher, that none of them really got that. So it's really good to actually see
we saw the Indomitus Crusade, Indomitus box start to add a few more details and a little bit of grittiness, but it was still very generic.
Yeah.
And then now we're seeing them actually...
Dark Angels didn't get anything either. They get everyone gets a character. Ooh, everyone gets a Primaris character. Who cares? We want more, standard mini.
We want this.
Yeah, I mean...
The sculptors are clearly going in and being creative with it.
For this
And,
release, I
yeah.
think that's probably one of the bigger abundances of characters, right? Like the other chapters definitely haven't gotten this much in the way of characters.
How many
and
Black
diversity.
Templar unique squads and things are there left that haven't been Primarisified?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it now. I don't think there's much else. The Crusaders and the Sword Brethren were the big fish back in the day. They never had like.
Dread.
Oh yeah, we were
Chaplain
talking
Dread.
about that earlier.
We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
It would be really cool if they brought it back for them. So they've made it a Legends choice for everyone.
Yeah.
Fine. Perfect. Make it a specific Black Templars choice and make it a Chaplain Redemptor.
Oh,
Yes.
imagine.
I mean, the
why
first thing
not?
I'm doing is, we're putting that on the battlefield with some company vets and, just bodyguard all round. Bodyguard all round. That's what's happening.
But I mean, why not? If Iron Hands can have a character Dreadnought, if Blood Angels can have a character Dreadnought,
Yeah.
and they have the Librarian side, which makes total sense if it's the fluff, perfect. Why can't they do that for Black Templars? And look, maybe they have. Maybe we've still got 2 more days of releases regarding this book. Maybe we're going to see it. I would be very impressed and very happy and would 100% buy one, even though I don't even play the army.
Yeah.
If they did it.
It would be that chaplain and the Castellan model would be.
I think everyone's getting them regardless of whether you play Templar or not. Like,
yeah.
that
I mean,
Castellan...
the other model that I'm looking at is weirdly enough picking up Grimoldus, not for Grimoldus, but
For
for
his
little retinue,
His slaves.
The Cenobites.
Yeah.
the Cenobite servitors.
Yeah.
You mean
And
slaves?
again, I'm looking at them and going, the sculptors are they're going to town on them, and they yeah.
I mean, the sculpt's not that different from the OG, right? You know that, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not that different, but it's there's so much character in them.
Yeah.
they're a cool retinue.
Yeah.
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 They are very
So I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting because they've got a lot of characters, and Space Wolves didn't get a great treatment on their characters in their 9th edition book. A lot of stuff got. I mean, granted, they've got a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's just so unnecessary. Games Workshop, if you're ever listening, kill some of your characters, please. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Kill half of the characters that you have.
Kill
in your
Dante.
Range. Let's kill them. Kill them and start a
It's about time. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's I really hope they don't butcher it, and I hope they give them back their what do you call it, I don't know, what do you call it, their flavor, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, for sure. And as soon as we've got that book in hand, I think Icon, you've got one on order, and the channel's got one on order as well.
So excited.
yeah.
With that gorgeous John Blanche cover art.
Oh yeah, you need it just for that.
Yeah.
I was talking with Lockie the other day, and I've still got a copy of the 3rd edition rulebook, and it's got that artwork on the front, and it's just every time you pick it up, you're like, this is epic.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll take a quick break from here, and we'll be right back with you again.
dicearcade.com.au. All the biggest brands of miniatures and wargaming. Free postage over $250.
All right, thanks, Tim. All right, so Icon, we've had a couple of these rules previewed. So we know there's going to be this Templar vow thing. We've talked about that quite a bit. What else do you reckon there'll be in the book?
Well, I mean, there's the obvious sorts of things. We're going to get our custom secondaries. We're going to get the rest of the vows. We're going to get all that sort of stuff. We know we'll get these things. But the things that I predict, and not all of them necessarily good, is we will lose the 5-up Feel No Pain to Mortal Wounds because Grey Knights have it. I just can't see us keeping that, and that's going to hurt. But I think that we will be replaced with one of the vows. Uphold the honor of the Emperor. I feel like that is going to give us the same or something similar.
Because that's what it was, right?
It wasn't a 5-up Feel No Pain. It was 6-up Invulnerables army-wide. Okay. So, but that means that we're getting new doctrines, or a new doctrine, because that's what it... Sorry, no, Chapter Tactic, not Doctrine. Chapter Tactic, which is the 5-up Feel No Pain. And the other prediction is I feel like there's going to be a major shift or complete change of the super doctrine, the Knights of Sigismund, which was 6s to hit in combat, automatically wound when you charge. It just it sounds good on paper, because your assault intercessors can charge a knight, and they're automatically wounding on 6s. It sounds good, but in the current state of things, it only happens in assault doctrine, so you've got to either use a stratagem to get it to happen earlier, or equip a specific relic, and then either of those two things only affect one squad, or you've got to wait till you get to turn 3 for it to be effective.
Well, I mean, as a quick aside, the vow we just talked about, expecting challenge no matter the odds, puts you in assault doctrine if you've in combat.
But I still, I don't know, maybe we'll keep it in that case. I still think it would be better if it wasn't just on charges.
Yeah, for sure.
Still a crazy combo if you do have it. Like, you're getting the extra attack.
And 6s
regarding the vow.
Yeah.
So you're in the assault doctrine. So you're in combat. Whenever you're in combat, you're proccing your super doctrine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no crazier than some of the stuff the Grey Knights have got.
Yeah.
With regards to
No, not at all. I don't think it's broken. I think it's cool. Like, I think it's good stacking.
Yeah. And don't forget, you've got to specifically build into that. You've got to take that vow to get that. So if you take a different vow, you just don't get it.
Well, weirdly enough, now that I'm thinking about it for that reason, I'd go, potentially it's unlikely, because then you're going, well, that one vow that was good
just got so much better.
It's now better because... And it's the only vow that works with this, because it's not like the others are going to have the same level of interaction with
the super doctrine.
Super doctrine, if it stays the same.
So regardless, it's a
would
pretty
be
safe.
Bias.
It's a pretty safe prediction to say it's going to change.
Yes.
That and the feel no pain. I feel like uphold the honor of the Emperor is going to replace that as a decision that you.
I think
you're
right. I think you're right with that, and I think that is a very smart choice if they do that. I think that is cool because it makes it still feels fluffy, but it's not. It's the same problem with whole, Death Guard's whole neg 1 damage. Well, now their neg 1 damage is everywhere. Okay, it's not it's not on their line troops and whatever, but it's taken a little bit of that fluff away from them. And I know, with the Grey Knights getting the 5-up feel no pain, you kind of go, well, you can't really have it across three Space Marine armies having a feel no pain as part of their rule. And when Iron Hands get their new book, they'll probably lose theirs.
Yes, I think they will as well.
Yeah.
But
it would make sense for that to be there as a vow. In the same way that both Necrons and Drakari, for example, have access to a 5-up feel no pain.
Yep.
Depending on how you build their lists.
Yep.
Yeah. So the sisters.
And then Martyr's Lady have other things as well that's connected to that, and
that's how you look at it as well. If you're jumping in a match against Thousand Suns and there's going to be smites everywhere, you take uphold the honor of the Emperor for that 5-up feel no pain, if that's what it is, and then it's all that mortal wound stuff becomes way less scary.
But no, they want you to take their non-psychic one.
Yeah, for sure. I hate doing actions anyway. I'm lazy.
You turn around to all your Templar models and say, all right, before you charge into them, now reach down and cut your hamstrings open.
That's it.
and then
if I catch anybody doing actions, you're dead.
Yeah, you're dead. I'm going to commissar your ass.
Yeah.
And look, and that's the thing. And this is another thing where, it'd be great, but it's just adding to that level of, well, now you're never taking the Abhor the Witch, Destroy the Witch, because every time you're facing a Psycho army, you're going to be taking the Feel No Pain. Who knows? What do you think the Suffer Not the Unclean one to live is? What's your thoughts on what you reckon that one might be?
I don't remember what it was previously. Do you have it on hand? Suffer Not the Unclean to live, regardless of what it was previously, I think it will just relate to Xenos in general. We had a conversation earlier about it relating to Chaos. I feel like Black Templar don't discriminate in that sense towards Chaos or whoever. They just want to burn things and chop things, and if it's gonna, relate to anything, I feel like it may have something to do with those new Flamers that we got given, and it's gonna have something to do with non-Imperium factions. They're probably the safest predictions that I can give at this time. What do you think they are?
Dalton, I'm researching something right now.
Okay. Well, Suffer Not the Unclean to Live. A lot of armies have been getting that sort of. I mean, by a lot, I mean like Grey Knights and Deathwatch, really.
Yeah.
That specific anti-something kind of rule.
Yeah.
So it definitely would make sense for it to be against Chaos or against Xenos or against not Imperium. Interesting they've gone Suffer Not the Unclean to Live and not Heretic or Xenos, which makes me inclined to agree with you that it's going to be something like any Xenos or Chaos model.
Yeah, well, it's just too broad a title. That title has always stipulated everything not Imperium. Like, Suffer Not the Heretic was, the Chaos. Suffer Not the Xenos was the Alien. Suffer Not the Witch was the Psyker. But this is Suffer Not the Unclean, and that stipulates everyone.
So
just filthy models that just don't shower is what this is.
So I don't know if this is 8th edition or if this is current. Oh, well, you are going for an 8th edition book. So it's currently a stratagem. It's a 2CP stratagem. So use this stratagem at the start of your fight phase. Pick a Sword Brethren unit from your army. Add 1 to the attack's characteristic of models in that unit for this phase. In addition, you can reroll wound rolls for attacks made by that unit until the end of the phase.
So that's like one thing from each of the other vows.
That's just all the vows in a stratagem.
It's accept any challenge no matter the odds with their +1 attack, and then it's the
rerolls.
Abhor the Witch and cut your own hamstrings.
That is such a ridiculous stratagem. That is bonkers. Yeah. You just have everything. Not even one, just have everything. More attacks and you can reroll wounds.
Yeah. But it's interesting that comes up as that because it's.
And then the tagline. The tagline is, with righteous zeal, these warriors vow to vanquish mankind's foes in the name of the Holy Emperor. So,
right.
And then, uphold the honor of the Emperor was also a stratagem. It's for Sword Brethren.
Okay.
It's if your army includes any Sword Brethren specialist detachments. So this is 7th edition. Right?
Right. Specialist detachments.
That's a question, not a statement.
Because they had formations back then.
So then, what's specialist detachments? That's not an 8th edition.
Well, it can't have been 7th. Because stratagems weren't in 7th.
Oh, of course. Right. Okay.
Yeah, there was no stratagems in 7th.
So whatever a Sword Brethren specialist detachment is, for all those people who are listening who know what that is and that are screaming their heads off. Sorry.
Yeah.
Uphold the honor of the Emperor is use this stratagem at the start of your fight phase. Pick a Sword Brethren unit from your army until the end of that phase. Roll a d6. It's a 5-up, feel no pain. So you're right on that one.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's what it'll be again.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's right.
That's likely.
So then,
and
really,
Suffer Not the Unclean will be
another combat-y one.
Yep.
I don't know if it'll necessarily be combat. I think it'll just be any sort of battle against Xenos or anything that's not Imperium.
So I could see it being more of a reliability thing. You can reroll one hit. Oh, it could even be the reroll one hit roll thing.
Yeah, against everything that is not Imperium. I think that would be great. It would certainly match up with a lot of what we're already seeing, and it certainly fits the law that they're just so ravenous about killing things that are opposing the Imperium that they're just they're putting the bullets back in their gun and shooting again. Like
it could potentially be like reroll one hit roll, and then maybe something to do with flamers or flamer weapons.
Yeah, that was going to be my pick, was
because we got the new flamers as well. Yeah, which eat my short salamanders.
Hey, don't forget they're all going to get their books too.
Yeah.
And they'll get big ones. They'll get those purifiers, but like double, like a multi-melter, but a multi-purifier.
Oof. Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, who knows? I mean,
Volcano Purifier.
This will be a good inkling to see how far off the mark they're willing to take some rules, because they've done all the big ones, right? So now they're into the kind of smaller fish.
Yeah.
So, how much sort of creative freedom they're going to go with this, and then also take into account balance and combat armies are not struggling, contrary to what most people think. Combat armies are doing quite well. It's kind of evening out a little bit now between gunline and
combat and shooting.
More people would argue that actually a well-tuned combat army is actually more effective over a whole tournament.
Well, I did see that TTS battle as a once-off. Your Grey Knights playing Lawrence's Admech, and that was pretty brutal, man. Those Grey Knights cleaned up.
Yeah, that was horrific. That was really bad.
Because they've got that gate ability, they've got that movement where they can get in that gun line quick and then just obliterate everything they touch.
Yeah, and I hope that ends up being the same for you guys. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah.
With something that makes it, unique as well with their with some shooting.
Yeah, well,
even though they don't really do much of it, lore-wise, I mean.
Yeah, no. I mean, they're notorious for having pistols above everything else, really.
Yeah, not guns. Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe there could be something there that makes pistols better.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Kind of interesting.
We've got the sawn-off purifier.
See, I think those things will be strats. Yeah, it'll be Crusader strat where it'll be turn all pistols to rapid fire 1 or whatever.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, we haven't even touched on stratagems and what we think is coming for that, and yeah, that would be cool. But I also think
sorry, go on.
I also think we'll get a lot relating to specific units, Sword Brethren. Just because that's, rules aside and fluff aside, that's just a good marketing gimmick, because now everyone's going to have to go and buy Sword Brethren for these brand new stratagems.
Yeah. Oh, of course. They'll make it broken as shit.
Yeah, it'll be like Sword Brethren just...
Give them bodyguard.
Yes. Yeah, give them bodyguard, and
the game.
They have, impale the puny enemy, and it just automatically kills things or something, but then you have to go by Sword Brethren.
Yeah.
But I can see things like a lot of fights last in places.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Or potentially a new worded fight first.
Well, I was about to say that I feel like fighting first would be more their thing. And it's a small distinction, but fight last is more of a manipulative thing. You manipulate your opponent to doing stuff.
Yeah.
But fight last is better in
rules-wise.
Rules-wise.
The way it's currently worded, right? Like, fight first
Yeah.
sucks. It gets beaten by a fight last every time. So, if that's what I'm saying, if they had a newly worded fight first, kind of like the Death Guard one, right? The Death Guard one pretty much trumps everything of the fight last.
Yeah.
If they had a fight first, like, worded that way, it would be like, literally to the way of this model gets to fight first, irrespective of any rule ever.
Yeah. and then you tie it into the I mean, just from a fluff point of view, you tie it into the Knights of Sigismund, blah 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 blah, and they get this stratagem, Knights of the Chapter, and or whatever, and they get to always fight first or whatever.
Like, maybe that's the Aurelian Shroud relic, or like maybe it's built into a relic.
The Aurelian Shroud is the relic that gives the 4-up invulnerable for a turn on everything within 6 of the character. So I don't think those will be changing. Those relics that we saw at the bottom of that page of the releases today, I don't think they'll be changing, because they have ties to the previous PDF supplement, and now they've got official miniature aspects of them. I don't think they'll change, and if they do, it'll be ultra slight.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like tiny. That's very similar to what GK got. Like, a lot of their mainstays, they did get tweaked just a tiny bit. Even with T-Suns, they changed some names, And then the ones that they didn't change names for, they just slightly changed a few words.
Although the Crusader's helm might change, just because we've got that vow now that is putting us in Assault Doctrine. Always, that was what the Crusader helm was for. In your command phase, it could put a specific squad in Assault Doctrine, and then it also buffed whatever aura it was on by 3 inches. So your captain was getting 9-inch auras, which was great for a lot of things. But I think that if anything's going to change, it will be that, because of the Assault Doctrine thing.
If anything, that'll get stripped back and just be the aura.
Yeah, probably.
Because pretty much you're seeing now across the board is like mono bonused relics generally.
Yeah.
You know, one bonus per relic is across the last like 3 or 4 books. Granted, I haven't read the Orc book, so I don't know. But I hear it's very good. So you know, it'll be just like a slimming down of that, and I hope you get a lot. I hope there is a lot of. I mean, I think all armies should have copious amounts of relics and stratagems. None of this like 1-page stratagem business. And I get the supplements. You know, they draw from the Space Marine books and that, and you know, we've talked about similar things in the past, but stratagems is, I think, are different to relic options. Like, relics should be very, very unique. There should be lots of them, and it should directly affect how that army plays. You know, looking at how many relics the sisters have, it's crazy. And then, you know, the quality of stratagems that the Grey Knights have. And I mean, look, the relics in the Grey Knight Codex aren't great. However, there's a few that stand out that are absolutely amazing. You know, and I hope that doesn't end up happening either. But you know, I don't know. We'll just have to
wait and see. It's coming soon.
Yeah.
What would you like to see?
Oh, well, we've already discussed it. Yeah, that was
that. No, not models. No, not models. Rules wise, what would you? You know,
I mean, still Chaplain Dread.
Yeah, obviously Chaplain Dread. And if not, we'll just make one and make our own rules for it. A Chaplain Redemptor Dread, and we're just going to play that on the channel and be like, this is the rules.
100%.
Yeah, that Dreadnought that I got a few Dalton is, he will be Chaplain Dread if that's what it comes to.
Yeah.
No, what would I like to see rules-wise? All I would like to see is that, given the current state of combat armies and how hard they're hitting in combat, is that we lean into something that puts us on an even playing field. Because right now, when I come up against Grey Knights, I'm supposed to be a Space Marine army, elites of the galaxy, and it's just a no competition in combat. I think
you are fighting someone who's a little bit more elite than you, just FYI.
Yeah, but it's just no competition at all. Like,
it isn't. Yeah.
I need it
even
to be
against Death Guard as well, right?
Yeah, same with Death Guard.
Yeah.
All I want is for the army to be as vicious in combat as they say they are. And yes, okay, Grey Knights are more elite, and you would expect that. Same with Custodians. But right now, those combats are no competition. I want it to be where I can play a strategic game and outflank you and charge you from behind or whatever, and play the game to a point where if I get it so I can fight first, I can stand a chance at winning these combats.
I have a feeling, and I think the one way that they can potentially make the Black Templars the difference from Blood Angels, Space Wolves, and Grey Knights is via the movement stuff you can do, which you already have, right?
You've already got Devout Push. You've already got all
Devout
that.
Push. You
that
have
makes them different.
Your
advances charge.
Advance and charge reroll. You have your 6-inch heroic intervention stratagem. You have those things. If they double down on that, it doesn't necessarily matter even if you only hit just as hard as Blood Angels or whatever, or just as hard as Space Wolves, or even a little bit less than GK. The fact that, like, for example, maybe, you know, have a relic that within 6 enables a unit to consolidate out of combat.
That would be massive.
Like consolidate 6 inches or something like that. You know,
just like the
just like the Harlequins.
Show Stealer.
Yeah, the Harlequin.
For Drukhari.
Well, Devout Push
and the
does
Harlequins
give
have
you,
one as well.
Devout Push does give you a 6-inch consolidation if you wipe the squad, obviously.
Yeah, but the Harlequin one, and I'm assuming the Drukhari one's the same, where you literally be in combat, you can leave
out of combat.
You can leave combat.
Same with there's an Iron Hands one for characters that does that as well.
Yeah. So, you know, those kinds of things, I think, is where you're going to find the flavour. Well, I hope that's where you're going to find the flavour.
Yeah.
That's something else that we didn't touch on either, was currently the other chapter tactic is reroll all advances and charges. I think that will just stay the same.
I hope that stays.
I think that will just stay the same. Or it goes back to the old rules where you can reroll 1 dice out of the charge, because that was that was epic.
I don't think you'll
reroll 1 or both.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll get the 1, because that kind of breaks their whole core 9th edition game philosophy.
Yeah.
But the reroll advance, yes. The reroll charge, I think, is up for debate, because rerolling charges is a pretty powerful ability in this edition currently, and not a lot of people have access to it. You know,
without spending CP
or a premium, paying for it. Like Sisters have it where they have to pay. I mean, granted, it's only 5 points, but on their Zephyrin models, they pay 5 points. On the Superior,
and it's very limited,
and it's amazingly powerful to have that reroll charge.
Yes. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if you actually lose the charge reroll, the advance reroll. Yeah, I could see that staying.
I could see the charge reroll becoming maybe part of one of the battles.
Or a strat.
But it's already... why would it become a strat when it's already... You can reroll charges for a CP?
Because then you can do it on 2 units.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Or you could have a strat that is...
Like pick 3 units or something.
Pick this character, and he has an aura for this charge phase.
Yeah.
Real charges.
Or it's built into a relic. You know,
I can see that happening.
First of Fray for GK have that, you know, where even the Orc Codex has that, where the war boss, what's it called? It's called not Iwigo.
Iwigo, boys.
It is called Iwigo, right?
Yeah.
When he gets into combat, everyone else gets a plus.
Here we go, lads.
They either get a plus or a rerollable charge.
Yeah.
Which is very similar to First of Fray, which is you know, even positives and negatives to charges are becoming quite a sought after thing. Which makes it inexorable for Death Guard so powerful against other combat armies and those kinds of things. So, considering that you can always get a +2 coming out of Deep Strike with your Chaplain.
At this point in time, it's +3 given the current Warlord traits. Who knows if that'll change?
Exactly. Well, even better. So, you know, the mitigation of that is going to be there. 100%.
Yeah, because as it stands currently, it's 6-inch charges out of Deep Strike with rerolls to charge.
Like you imagine, not even out of Deep Strike, if you can get a 6-inch charge or a reduction of charge by 3 inches, on a Sword Brethren unit that's, you know, all got it's like I guess it'd be no difference than Blade Guard.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the other thing is you know, it's interesting to see what the difference between
Blade Guard and Sword Brethren
Blade Guard and Sword Brethren is going to be.
Because I doubt they'll have 4-ups, 4-up invulnerables.
Well, it's because you only get that on a shield. So.
Yeah, you only get that on the shield.
But the flexibility that's there, hopefully, will outweigh that massively.
Well, I think the chapter, the book will just lean into the Sword Brethren with strats, and you will get, and that's where where they will outweigh taking Blade Guard, because it'll be take Sword Brethren and you've got these 5 strats, and now they just turn into, you know, 6 attacks base, and you know.
Well, you'll have it because you'll have essentially you've got Primaris Lightning Claws. You'll be the first army that have Primaris. They're
Primaris Vanguard vets essentially.
Yeah, that's what they'll be without the 12-inch movement. So that is probably just maybe that's where it is. That's exactly what Dalton was saying. That the premium is going to be in the flexibility of the models.
Yeah.
And I think that's even reflected in the range of what we're seeing. Yeah. Just model.
I mean, overall, I'm excited. And at the end of the day, when it comes to new releases and stuff, I always look at the models first. And I go, well, there's a bunch of cool models coming out. I'm happy.
Yeah, and
The rules can be great, they can be awful.
I'm the opposite.
The models will last longer than the rules will.
I'm a bit the opposite as well.
That's fair.
Yeah.
As I sit here lovingly stroking my Necron reanimators.
Hey man, you found ways to use them.
Yeah.
You found ways.
Yeah, actually, I've got a list for that I'm keen to be getting out in the channel at some point. But anyway, at the end of the day, I mean, the models will last longer. That's how I say that. The models will last longer than the rules will.
Yes.
The rules will change edition after edition, and those models are still cool models.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I think
but it also does suck when you have really cool models that sit on a shelf collecting dust. So
Diamondkera.
It's like, what would you rather have, cigarettes or a lighter? Like,
Yeah.
without the other, you're still rooted, right? Like, I think they kind of need to go hand in hand. Yeah.
Well, on that note, I guess we'll wrap it up here. We'll definitely be back as soon as we've got our hands on the shiny new book.
Yes.
All three of us.
Yeah,
for
we'll be pulling that apart and finding every dirty strat we possibly can.
I'm excited to
so.
look into it, because I think what we should do is that we'll write a list. We should all write a list.
Yeah. Yes, that'll be fair. We should all
separately.
Yeah, separately,
Yeah,
and then
kind
see what we brought.
And why we chose what we chose, and not talk to each other about it. So we won't talk to each other about it, and then write a list, and then see.
You just show up
and be like, this is how I think it would go, and this is what I found.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with this as an exercise, given that I have no stake in the army.
Me too.
And
right?
it's not an army that I play or have any plans to play.
Well,
so
this would be an interesting concept to do for every release going forward, though. Like.
I think this is what we might do.
Yeah, it's a good exercise to.
This is going to be the start of something new, guys.
Yeah.
This is the beginning.
Yeah.
We'll come up with a name and we'll call it. We'll make it a segment.
Yeah.
The first segment.
First
segment.
It will be the first specific segment.
Yeah.
Love it.
Nice. Well, looking forward to that. That'll be coming out in a couple of weeks after this one.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much, Icon, for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys, and I'm looking forward to dissecting this with you in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. We're keen to have you back on the podcast, and also on the channel with your Black Templars and on Kill Team as well.
Yes, well, I'm excited for that. I've got to get my orcs painted.
Nice. But yes, that's all coming up very, very soon, so make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel as well as following us on your podcast medium of choice.
And socials of your choice.
Actually, yes. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and all of that is linked down below in the description of wherever you're watching this. And make sure to give Icon a follow on his Instagram page as well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.
See you later.
Bye.